when we see them as kids. When you guys were
I guess I will concede the difference between them being Jedi are good, Jedi evil. Also, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna kill you. It's like, I guess there's a pretty strict differences between the two of them.
Yeah, they are definitely different. So
we're working on making sure that those twins did have that energy, so it played in. How did you kind of navigate explaining all of this to like these young girls being like, okay, well, eventually you're gonna play these two who one thinks they're dead and it's a whole fight, but we have to understand it here in order for it to work when we see them reunited.
Well, we were so lucky to have Leia and Loren, who are just both so gifted and so natural.
at what?
I mean, most people agreed the kids were
They sucked ass.
They were pretty shit.
I think
Flanagan has spoiled us.
I'm not a fan of this idea of like, oh, they're kids, you can't critique their acting. No, but what about the time when we praise kids for their acting?
Exactly.
Like, we praise people. Yeah, it doesn't. You can't have both. If we could praise kids for great performances, then we can point out the ones that aren't that talented and need to go back to the drawing board. Those
the
two
moment
girls,
you put yourself in the public domain, the public can judge you.
Yes, you have to be ready for criticism.
I totally buy what
you have thick skin for this shit.
What Brooks was saying. It means if you make it off limits to criticize the acting ability of a child, then that means what does it mean when we praise one? There's no meaning there. And I want to be able to praise the children that actually pull it off. The
blind men are kids.
Work. At the same time, we all usually concede like, hey, it's usually it's not great. If you look at overall results of all kid actors, it's not fantastic. But
yeah.
It's what I liked about Ahsoka, is young Ahsoka fought better than adult Ahsoka.
She did everything better than adult Ahsoka. That's such a fantastic point. We're saying that we can't judge kids, but what about when the kid was better than the seasoned actress? Like, what are you talking
it goes
about?
to it goes into the directing. How are they directed? Because obviously, her name's Rosario Dawson, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was clearly, I think, told to play this boring asshole.
Oh god, yeah.
And the kid, when you see them, that contrast there, so much of it is obviously.
I want to be fair
like
as well.
Wanted them to
she
be
was
that
like,
way.
I want to say 14-ish. Ariana Greenblatt. She's going to be in the Borderlands movie, and she's in. She was young someone else recently as well. But point being is that these kids were what, like 9, something like that. The younger
young,
you get, the more difficult to find actors that can pull it off, because it's
the emoting and understanding these things is difficult.
Well,
I just want one quick example I just want to throw in. Bly Manor was adapted from The Innocents. So the two kids that you saw in Bly Manor, I've seen that performance basically like twice now. Both pairs of kids did fantastic. The kids in The Innocent and the kids in Bly Manor. So I'm so against that. Like, once you're in the public domain, like this Bruce said, like, you gotta have thick skin and understand criticism is a part of the gig. Part of the gig.
Just to be clear, they're not in public domain. They're
the rights to their likeness.
You can't just buy
take
them.
their images.
You can't enslave them for your project. It's like, well, they're in the public domain. What do you? It's this. They signed up for this.
When filming Hill House, the name of the actress who played young Nell, I think her name was Violet McGraw, and she was 6. And I remember, some of the best stuff in that season is like, holy fuck, she's like, it's like actually hard to compete with for a lot of adults. Cry Dog Q and just capturing a lot of what she needed to, especially that young, it was crazy.
That's
especially when it's such a mature and deep story too.
Yeah. It takes a real special kid to be able to pull out that type of performance, and and it's something that's that tonally dark, like to be able to pull it off.
Makes me wonder how you explain it to kids.
Yeah,
the context of what it is you're acting out. How do you explain it to them in a way that's appropriate and digestible for them?
Now that you bring that up, I wonder if there is a specific type of genre where the performances are generally a little bit better. Like, are horror movies with kids generally better acted, or thrillers? I wonder if there's any who's got the numbers on that? I'm kind of curious now. Like, what would be the approach to get the best performance out of a child?
I don't know what genre would have the best acting
for kids overall. Like, it's a curious question.
I'm not sure. I legitimately have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to assume horror is the worst, though.
I mean, horror is just automatically going to be asking them to do scenes that are very high on the emotional meter, more than likely. So
yeah, terror and fear.
the other issue with children in that kind of scenario is it's often used as a shorthand for, well, you have to care about this person because they're a child. And so they don't bother to give them a personality or anything or any reason why you should care about that character. They just assume the audience will because of their age.
I can
Same thing,
imagine
even
in
the
Revenge of the
dog.
Sith, all the younglings in the chamber. George Lucas was going to direct him. He said, "Okay, now Anakin Skywalker is going to come in here with his lightsaber, and he's gonna chop you up into tiny little pieces, little Jedi pieces. So I want you to act really scared, okay? All right, action, go."
I can picture that whole thing. He's like got his hands on his waist. He's talking to all the kids. Anakin's gonna come chop you up, all right? And then we'll have some cake.
He's gonna brutally murder you in a second with his lightsaber.
Yeah, they're not capturing it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And he's like, I don't think you understand just how horrible
Listen,
this is.
listen, if you don't look more scared, I will fucking kill you.
He's gonna
okay?
snuff
I
out
just
your
wanna
little
let you know.
lives. Like a
I have a
little
lot of
candle.
merchandise riding on this Revenge of the Sith movie, okay?
You'll feel
I
no
don't
more
want people to be
joy.
making memes about this for decades, all right? This is a very serious scene.
I've taken money from some very dangerous people. This has to work.
Both so gifted and so natural. And obviously, like, whenever you put a kid actor in Star Wars, your heart worries for them. You're just like even as we were doing the auditions, I was like,
So she's talking about Anakin's
Leslye.
actor, isn't she?
Um,
we
can't talk about them. It's just Rose Tico and Jar Jar Binks. That's why we can't talk
because
about them.
he's like famously considered tormented by the experience, or whatever. I don't know what the true ultimate facts are exactly that as to whether or not Star Wars or his participation in it had any effect on the trajectory of his life as it was heading. Anyway, I remember there's quotes from his mother about the nature of his personality before and after Star Wars that implies it wouldn't necessarily have been Star Wars. However, let's concede for the sake of this argument that it is. It's weird for her to be like, you got to find some great child actors when it comes to Star Wars, but we got to be careful. It's like, if that's a true worry of yours, you could have written it so you didn't have to bring in these children. You know what I mean?
Adding to that story, I mean, that police mugshot of him came out years later, but that may or may not have had anything to do with Star Wars.
That's why I wouldn't want to claim any way which way. There's a lot
There's
of
no
information.
proof of it. It's just a narrative that's juicy for people to jump on, But like,
Well, yeah. Dude, people paint the narrative that goes all the way back to him, through to Jar Jar, through to Rose Tico, through to through to Reva, and the people like us to blame. You just say like, what the fuck narrative are you painting?
The narrative, the appeal of the narrative is everything. It's not about the truth. Nobody gives a fuck about that. It's just whatever narrative is juicy. Let's go.
Yeah, his mum said something to do with it being a result of his schizophrenia, not and teased in school, not like Star Wars fans particularly. But at the same time, just watch this again with that in mind. I feel like this is really weird from her.
whenever you put a kid actor in Star Wars, your heart worries for them. You're just like,
why are you laughing?
Like even as we were doing the auditions, I was like, what am I doing to these young women?
Girls?
Young women is what, yeah, I just say girls. But I don't know, if you truly believe that, which I don't even know that you do because you were laughing, why would you
Why did you hire them at all?
Yeah, why not write it so they weren't necessary? You can talk about them, they can exist, you didn't need to see them though.
It's not like we achieved anything in that freaking episode. We could have assumed 99% of that.
Oh yeah, well, we've already said the third episode didn't need to exist.
Waste of time.
I'm sure the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, I'm guessing, would be the flashback now. That'll probably clear everything up.
Everyone is anticipating this flashback. What if there is none and they just fuck it? That's all we got. It's like no one is like ruled as considered that option. What if they're just that stupid and we're not going to get the second half? We have to just piece it together.
I can understand being concerned with casting kids like in any major property, like especially of this scale. Like even if the script calls for somebody of that age and like maybe they do a really good job, but it's just that knowledge of like this is going to alter the trajectory of their life significantly, and I just hope it works out for them. Like,
putting them into the public and having that kind of spotlight on you.
I don't know, man. Just
all the stories.
If you openly admit that you worry for the welfare of these young women and what you're putting them through, when the script requires them being in so far one episode that's about a half hour long that was completely superfluous in terms of information, then don't have them in.
Yeah, and especially such an iconic episode, and everyone is going to remember that. Like that was just it's insane, you know.
And, I don't know.
And-
Yeah, it felt a bit like compensation. Like, yeah, you know how kids get fucked up by Star Wars. I was worried about what I was doing to these young women. Okie dokie. Really weird way to put it.
I actually auditioned several identical twins, and it was, I cut them together in making the decision. And with identical twins, it was very difficult to tell them
Please
apart.
don't say tell them
really
apart. Oh my god!
Are you serious?
So, to be
Serious?
clear, before everyone should be laughing their ass off at what she just said. To be clear, the kids in episode 3 are not identical twins. You can tell very distinctly the difference between their faces. And this was something that was brought up by people. Like, why did you choose non-identical twins to grow up into identical twins? That's weird. And she's just told us the reason for that is because she had trouble when casting identical twins in telling the difference between the identical twins.
Oh, is that what she
Fucking
meant?
moron.
Because I heard her say that, and I was
Yeah.
like
Just
a little
it can't be that
confused as to
stupid.
what she was saying.
Because I
Holy
saw it
shit.
coming, and I'm like, "There's no way you're about to say this, are you?" She's just, like, as if it's
Yeah.
completely
Like-
steering.
There's no way she meant that, right? That's too stupid. Oh,
Yeah,
That's why I'm
right.
saying we
I
should
had to
all
do,
be
like-
laughing at this. That's such a fucking stupid thing to say. It's
I was-
crazy.
I
Two,
was
get a
still in
hat.
like decipher mode. It's like, that's
Like,
not
I
what she
arrived
meant.
on set for the identical twins casting day, and would you
couldn't
believe
tell them
it?
apart.
They
I
all
don't
look
know
the
what to
same. Like,
What are you gonna do,
look
guys? They
very
look the
different.
same.
I thought I was really, really drunk.
Oh my god.
I'm seeing double here for Amanda's. I don't even know what. Such a stupid point to make. I'm gonna have to
Dumb.
roll it back just to be clear.
Imagine losing the casting for this role because you looked like your identical
I
twin
know.
on the identical
God.
twin tryouts. Yeah, like
Literally
that's
what
the
that
reason
Characters
you
are
lost.
twins, and you lost a few non-twins. Like how?
And
how
this
does
is how you find out. Yeah, you're like, man, we did so good. We practiced a whole bunch, and we're really good actresses. Well, how come they didn't pick us and they picked these losers?
How about
and then
their
you watch
future
this
now? Don't
interview,
they?
and you're like, fuck, we look too much. We're too identical.
She
And
probably
if-
traumatized those two kids. now
You're a
for,
little
like,
too
hating
identical.
looking alike. I don't want to look like you anymore. Like ruin their relationship. It's fucking
And
so
she-
ridiculous.
She chose the entire wrong thing to do, because if her thinking is, well, it'd be difficult for the audience to tell that, like, which one's the evil one and the good one. Well, the way you do that is by giving them different clothes or a different hairstyle.
Even
But
a
she
different
decided to get
personality.
people that
Name
looked
tags.
different and then give them the same stuff.
I don't even mind the challenge of them being completely identical down to the clothing, but their characters being different enough for us to be able to always tell the difference, even just from expressions. We should be
Yeah.
able to know 2 seconds into a scene who it is. You're not going to get mixed up if we know characters to this
The
extent.
difficulty is they don't have different personalities. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just
they have one expression
I just-
between them.
I want to be as
I
crystal
was an
clear as
identical
possible.
twin-
You write them to
Yeah.
be identical, and you're annoyed that they're identical.
I just
Yeah,
got too
that's the big-
confused.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own decision.
The way you phrase that just hurt my brain. Like why would you so stupid. You didn't foresee this issue, Leslye.
And then she says to a
Oh,
casting
man.
director, "We need some non-identical twins."
Yeah, they're too identical, bro. Like this isn't gonna work. Can you call Susie and what's her face back? Like it's just so stupid, man.
Yeah, the email.
Like, and for
The
example,
storyline.
not being able to tell the twins in House of the Dragon, not being able to tell them apart was a good part of the story. From the very moment they were introduced, Alicent calls Eric Arik, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's going to be a factor throughout. They set it up from their introduction. It's talent versus this bullshit.
She made the story such that one of them was going to be mistaken for the other in episode 1, and then they get flipped in episode 5. Like, what? But you don't want them to look the same. Because that would be too
I'm going to
confusing.
bamboozle my audience, but not me. Nuh-uh.
I cut them together in making the decision. And with identical twins, it was
Don't say cut them
very
together.
difficult to tell them apart. Really to track those types of the performances that you're talking about, the differentiation between the two of them. So
Wait, she could-
yeah,
Oh my god.
Yeah.
She couldn't tell the difference.
Just
What did she?
fucking pop a label on one.
Hold on a second.
It's the name tags, damn it.
Was what she just said the difference in the performance? Even you can't tell because they're twins.
I feel like
what?
this delves into, you got to be careful, because this is actually criticism of the actresses at that point, right? Like, I can't tell the difference between you two, even though you're playing different characters. They'd be like, oh,
The
Like,
thing is, the
ooh.
most stupid thing about this series is that they've had the same hairstyle for 16 years when they've never seen
Oh,
each
that,
other.
yeah, for
You
sure.
could
I don't
solve
think
her
it's
problem.
the stupidest thing about this series.
I was about to say, are you sure? This thing, I
I
think.
don't know, I'm
Okay,
like,
well.
let's not get to. let's-
Originally.
Originally.
it's one of the few things I can oddly believe. It's like, yeah,
I
sure,
think-
why not?
You got to remember Pocket Sand, and the stupid way Trinity died, and turning off the Force on and off. I
Yeah,
think that's my biggest thing.
The
understanding of the magic
pre-birth of
system.
Kiadimundi.
Oh,
The man
yeah,
who
there's
lives in a
so
force
much.
bubble. Like, there's a lot of.
The fact that they didn't just fucking recast him, they like made him look like a freak, like with the
They
stupid.
made him look like an
makeup.
old baby.
Yeah, an old baby. Why would they do that?
Like, why did they make this baby so old? Is this one of the
God.
twins who didn't win at the tryout?
Dude, you know what it was? She cast an old person. She said, they look pretty old. I don't know.
I can't tell
Right.
apart from the rest of the old people in this room.
I would rather get a young person and age them up than have an old person.
Oh my god! It all makes sense once you hear the interviews, all the decisions.
It's the
man.
Simpsons
It's,
joke. The we have to color a horse to look like a cow. Then when you need a cow, you have to get a bunch of cats. It just doesn't look right on film. Okay, that's how it goes. Fucking hell.
Like, what's our budget? Do
Oh,
whatever's the
headlamp.
most expensive.
Yes, the most obstructive, stupid, poor-looking, poor quality, and expensive thing you can do. And they're like, alrighty, consider it
All right,
done.
then. It's not
I
my
don't know
money.
why. I'm just now thinking
on
of
your
another
grace.
Simpsons one of just. You remember when they were coming up with the idea for, basically like the idea for the third character of Itchy and Scratchy is like, give him something like, a name like Poochie, but less bad. And then Krusty's like, yeah, they just walk out. And all the writers like, so we all fine with Poochie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of reminds me of the attitude on like, so the evil twins, right? Yeah.
Yeah, good
All
idea.
So it was one of those things that I was like, okay, we do have this adult actor playing both roles, but if we don't have this differentiation between the two of them, I'm not sure we're going to understand how important
Come
the
on.
differences between
I feel like there was no
Oh,
logic.
man.
Shit.
Like there was
Wait,
actually
what?
no logic to any of this.
You-
Holy
Do you play that
shit.
again?
I
kind
can,
of
right?
pull that back.
Bear in mind
Please
when listening
pull
to this
that
again, I feel like what's going on in her head might actually be a concern of a minefield that she, depending on what she says, will be really insulting to the actresses. Because she's saying,
so-
Amandla can handle it. Amandla can perform both sides. We all disagree with this, but that doesn't matter.
But the
She's
kids are
saying,
shit.
Amandla can do it, but when you have the kids doing it, you need to be able to tell the
Okay,
difference
shit.
between the character. And it's like, well, but obviously that would be fine if the performances reflected it, surely, because that's what you've done with Amandla. And so I think that's what's making it take so long. She has to find a way of explaining this that isn't basically shitting on the child actors.
She's stepping
Yeah, I
around
agree.
the dog shit right now. She's trying to like skip.
Well,
around
yeah, I
it,
mean,
for sure.
she's
I guess someone
worked
already
herself
said it.
into this. She didn't need to
I
say
think
this.
I think she already let it slip though. It was a few seconds, like 30 seconds ago, where she's saying like even through the performances, you can't tell the difference because they're twins. Like that's like that's
Yeah.
not the part you say out loud. Like I thought that's the part she's trying to dance
Well,
around. So
tell
why
you what,
even dance around now when you already let it
Brooks,
slip?
you probably shouldn't have fucking said the identical twins look too similar. That's another thing you should probably
Yeah.
avoid saying.
If we don't have this differentiation between the two of them, I'm not sure we're going to understand how important the differences between them are, and that's something an adult actor can, especially if they're a genius like Amanda, But an
It
adult
still sounds like
actor-
she almost kind of stepped right back into
Yeah, she
the
did.
minefield right there. Like she didn't actually get around it. She basically just said, "Well, yeah, an adult can handle it."
Yeah, which is so awkward. Like, damn, all right, rip.
You didn't need to. You didn't need to do this.
Well,
No,
at, at that point, she stepped on the pressure plate for the mine, and then it's just like, oh fuck.
Oh, well.
Like, I gotta take my foot off now to move
I
forward.
know. Everybody in chat's putting genius. Yes.
Yes,
it's,
Amanda
bit
is
cringe.
genius. Amanda's
cringe.
genius response to the fans too. That was a good move.
I'd
can
love to
do
know
that, I
Leslie's reaction to that music video.
Oh, you know,
I
she would
bet she
say it's
thought that
genius,
was
amazing.
Stunning.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, very stunning.
It's harder for child actors to emulate two separate performances.
Mm.
I thought you were going to say emote.
So
Yeah,
what's
like,
interesting is
I-
they are two literal different people, the twins.
Dude. They sucked. How about we just admit it? Like,
Yeah, well,
come on.
she's
So many
saying
examples of kids.
Amandla was such a good actress, she can play two people, but these two people weren't good enough to play characters separated enough so that you'd
Yeah,
notice.
she's not even. Oh my god, she's not even aware of what
She
she's
didn't
really
have
putting
to.
out here.
She didn't have to do this.
No, she
That's
didn't.
what I'm
She didn't have to
struck
get into this at all. She could have just said, "We hired them.
Oh,
They were
right.
great, and they did what they did." But-
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a problem with them because Amandla can't emote. So when they were playing them deadpan, I'm like, yeah, this is just like how she is as an adult. I think it's gonna fit.
Excited. Yeah, that's right.
That's fair.
I forget this woman's name. Is she the showrunner?
Leslye
Yeah,
Headland.
Is that her title?
She's the vampire
Mhm.
for sure. That's
Okay.
it.
Is she like the head of the writers' room too? Does she even set foot in the writers' room? Does she write any episodes?
She wrote
Or
some of the
sh-
scripts. Yeah, she wrote some of the
Okay.
scripts. And I think she directed episode 1.
Right. Okay. I was just wondering. Yeah. I mean, you would think she'd have some more things to talk about, given that.
She directed the first 2 episodes, but yeah.
Right.
When they're in the
Jeez.
same room with each other, and they already have the experience of being twins, and they already have the experience of, most twins in Hollywood, they're playing the same character. They're being switched out.
Yes, they're actors. They're familiar with playing characters. They're supposed to be. She's trying to explain how what she said isn't mean. She's like, "Oh, they're used to not playing different characters. That's why."
Out,
Drowning.
like,
She's
so-
drowning.
they're used to.
It's so funny because let's say, for example, the twins. She's saying they go to show A to play twins, and they're supposed to be 1-to-1, or they go to show B and they play the literal same character, but they're switched off screen so that you get more time, right? Like, okay, but you've already just established they've played more than one character, right? On show A, show B, show C, so they're familiar with playing different characters, correct? So surely they can play different characters between them. You know what I mean? She's trying to get out of what she said. I just find it funny because it's like, just
She's
say it.
trapped
Just say you
herself.
think they're not very good.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Trapped herself completely. It's so funny to see her try to spin, like dig her way out of this hole.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.